It was a shock to lose a friend and to lose someone who I had worked with for 18 years, someone who I'd known for most of my life. He was a mentor, he was a boss, and he was my sheriff. So waking up that morning was very, very difficult for myself personally. It was also difficult for me professionally, and it was difficult for the agency, and obviously difficult for many people in the county.
Now you're running on experience. You've been with the Sheriff's Department since 2001. How does that help you become a better sheriff?
Well, I've been in law enforcement for 33 years continuously. I was a special agent with the State Law Enforcement Division 15 years before I became the assistant sheriff. I was chosen by Sheriff Lane Cribb to be his assistant sheriff. That's the role I took in 2001 when I left the state and came to the county. I'm born and raised in Georgetown County. I know the issues that are facing the residents because I am one. I know the issues that are facing law enforcement because I've been involved in the process and the processes for the last 18 years locally. The last 18 years as your assistant sheriff, with September the 11th occurring 4 or 5 months after I became employed, it changed law enforcement forever. The civil unrest in areas like Ferguson, where towns were being burned down, that molded me as a person and as a manager and as your sheriff. The technological changes that we've seen just in the past 18 years are unbelievable. Who would think that a deputy sheriff, him or her, could sit in their vehicle and basically make an office obsolete, do everything they need from their vehicle? It was just unimaginable years and years ago. We've had everything in Georgetown over the last 5 years except locust. With the flooding that we've occurred, the natural disasters, it really shows you who you are as a person, who you are as a leader, who you are as a sheriff, who you are as a deputy sheriff during those times. It's very easy to perform in the good times. It is, but it's hard times, like the flooding. The first year of the flooding, they were calling it biblical. The second year of the flooding, the third, we've had a lot of water, we've had a lot of natural disasters, and we responded appropriately as an agency to the citizens of Georgetown. And those are the things that set me apart from anyone running for the office.
Now, during your tenure as assistant sheriff, we've gone through not only the natural disasters, we've had the Stephen Stanko issue situation. As SLED agent, you went through, I think, David Hill. How have these types of things helped you prepare for the job if you're elected?
There is no manual. Just like the poor mail carrier who was shot and killed in Williamsburg County not too long ago. There's no manual or no book that lays by your bed when the phone rings. Miss Presley's murderer was found and apprehended and arrested in Georgetown County. When that phone rings from that federal agency or that surrounding local agency, they have your phone number. There's already a plan in place. There's already relationships built. And obviously that case was brought to a positive end because of those relationships with me and these other agencies.
Let me ask you about one issue that's going on today that people are talking about these days because of a couple of recent incidents, and that's school safety. For the most part, everything falls under the Sheriff's Department. So how will you ensure parents that their kids will continue to be safe in schools?
Well, the first thing we're going to do is keep that the first priority. Our children are our priority. We have a good partnership with the Georgetown County School District, Superintendent Dozier and his staff. We're not making it up as we go along. We have been doing this for years and years together. We have also, through that partnership, we have just added 4 new additional school resource officer positions to 4 of our elementary schools. So these will not be handled by off-duty deputy sheriffs anymore. They'll be handled by full assigned permanent deputy sheriffs to each particular school that's been chosen.
What do you think the biggest crime problem in Georgetown County is these days?
I like to label them as nuisance crimes. The biggest crimes are things that affect your quality of life. Thank God it's not rape, robbery, and murder. It's auto break-ins, your property crimes, litter, animal issues. There is nothing more disheartening to me to wake up or go through the day and find out that we've had 5 or 6 break-ins, let's say in the Garden City area of Georgetown County, or in any area, Lambertown, or in any Andrews, any area. And to find out that most, if not all, of those crimes were simply someone lifting the door handle of an unlocked car. So those are nuisance crimes. Those are things that could be avoided if we all get together, raise awareness, and just protect our valuables. We use the Lock It and Lose It program. We push that out on social media. We push it out on some TV channels. It's just very important because most of our crimes, such as the auto break-ins, are due to the fact that the doors are simply left unlocked.
Getting to the budget, that's one thing the sheriff has to deal with every year with county council working that out. In past years, it's been kind of lean. Where do we stand right now? Are things okay right now?
Our budget is sound. 2009 threw a monkey wrench in everyone's plans. No one could forecast that, at least locally. No one could see that coming, but we worked through it. And that's one of the things that's helped me become a big manager or a better manager, and it'll help me be a better sheriff because you have to work leaner. You have to find ways to do an important job such as public safety, but do it without unlimited financial resources.
Is the sheriff's department fully staffed right now?
We have two or three vacancies due to staff either leaving or have been relieved of their duties. We also have the 4 SRO positions that I discussed. We are currently advertising for those now. And then we have 2 traffic unit positions that we're also advertising for. We have been awarded a grant, a fully funded grant in Georgetown County that we applied for that will give us 2 additional officers, and his or her primary responsibility, their only responsibility, is going to be to slow you down on the road. Traffic is a huge issue in Georgetown County. We take it very seriously. I do not feel as your sheriff enough is being done to slow people down. So we are going to take on that responsibility as well.
Before we move away from the budget, in upcoming years, if you see you need more money, one thing the sheriff cannot do is raise taxes. You have to depend on county council to do that if it's needed. They don't like raising taxes because it speaks negatively when it comes election time. So what do you do about that? If you need more money but they don't want to raise taxes, how does the sheriff deal with that?
The one thing that I will be presenting to council is put a plan in place or create a formula that allows for the sheriff's office to be competitive. One of the national concerns now with law enforcement managers and leaders is the fact that our pool of employees is dwindling. Not many people are wanting to come to the profession as in years past. So we have to be competitive. We have replacement plans in Georgetown County on how to replace a computer or how to replace a tractor or a vehicle. There are absolutely no plans put in place to compensate our employees. That has to change. I think it is so important for a spouse or someone, significant other, to sit across the dining room table and talk to that spouse or that significant other and say, hey, I'm looking at a career with the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office, and when I start, I will be making X. And when I make that a career and stay there 4 years, I'll be making Y. And when I stay there 6 or 8 years, I'll be making Z. That is so important, and that's how we're going to stay competitive. We can do that simply through merit raises to stay ahead of the game due to the fact that council and our office worked together to raise salaries a year and a half ago. So if we just simply implement merit now, not wait a few years, then we'll stay ahead of the curve and remain competitive.
And speaking of salaries, I guess I'll ask you about yours. County Council has a proposal to possibly implement or at least reevaluate the base salary ordinance. They haven't talked about it yet. Right now, you're still making the same thing you made as assistant sheriff, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
That's correct.
Do you think if you are elected that you should be making what Lane Cribb made after 26 years of service as sheriff?
Well, whether we plan for it or not, on September the 19th, I accepted all the duties and liabilities of sheriff, and I am your sheriff. With that is the salary that I'm currently making. Any discussions by council, they need to look into that fact, and I just, I'm not part of those discussions. I would like to think that we follow whatever is reasonable, and we just go from there. The ordinance that you're talking about is probably 12 or 13 years old. I don't think it mirrors today's rates or today's job capacities, but I will leave that to other people than myself.
Well, another thing we found out just this week, that basically the December 3rd primary is most likely going to decide the race because Mr. Adams is not going to be on the ballot in February, as we thought. So how much more importance does that place on December 3rd, in your opinion?
It really doesn't change anything legally. I'm a rule of law guy. Yes, it'll still be a Republican primary on December the 3rd, and there will still be a general election on February the 4th. The law, it doesn't change anything whether he's on the ballot or not. Anything could happen. I respect that, so we're running the race we're running.
So on December 3rd, why should people vote for Carter Weaver for sheriff?
Well, Scott, first of all, it matters who your sheriff is. I am asking for your vote on December the 3rd in the Republican primary for Carter Weaver as sheriff of Georgetown County. One can be qualified to run for sheriff, but are they truly qualified to be your sheriff? That is a whole different ballgame. Anybody that has a question, please look at the qualifications of myself and the other candidate, and you will see that I am truly qualified to be sheriff of Georgetown County with the experiences I have gained just in the last 18 years as your assistant sheriff.